Sorry. So, let's start this over. So, this is going to be a condensed version of what we're planning to do for... Shut up, guys. I know you can hear me now. So this, what we had planned to do this week was do a Friday and a Saturday stream, both kind of short. But instead, we're condensing it all into today because I was asked to co-cast Gfinity yesterday.
And you did an excellent job.
Thanks. D-Pants, shut up. So, first off, we've got the weekly G.A.S. So this is something that we've been starting to keep track of recently, is each time in a game a player gets a goal, an assist, and a save, we're calling it a G.A.S. And we've been tracking double G.A.Ses, triple G.A.Ses, which haven't happened yet. No one has gotten a hat trick, a savior, and a playmaker yet. So yeah, we've got G.A.S. We've got one G.A.S for you this week. So to keep the stream not too long, we've got one goal, one assist, one save. This time it's going to be 2 from NA, 1 from EU. The SAG index. That's actually not that bad. So the second part of the stream is going to be the 50% replays. So we've got one replay from each series from last week's Rocket League Central Pro League, and we're gonna jump in and throw it at 50%, throw stats at you, throw some analysis at you, maybe stop it once or twice, go back and look at some big plays. Without further ado, let us get into G.A.S 1. So the first goal that we're going to look at is from Fireburner, and it's going to be... What game is this? Game 1, and it is the last goal of this game.
That entire series was incredible. I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but I suggested we just rewatch that series at 50%, and there wasn't too much opposition from the peanut gallery.
Yeah, I was really tempted just to watch the entire series. It was that good. It was worth watching the whole thing again. Yes, D-Pants, you are in here because we're expecting you at some point to join us again. I thought you did very well the first week. Love to have you back in here. So, without further ado, we are in game.
We'll kick it off here with the score of 1-1, less than a minute to go.
And the amount of time that we're going to get here, I think this is a 0-second goal. Yeah, definitely is. Yeah, this is the 0-second goal that started the series with so many epic endings. James is freaking out when he's casting this right now. Alright, so besides being obviously like a completely epic goal, let's look more in depth at this.
Yeah, I want to see how Blue got themselves in trouble in the first place here.
Okay, first thing I want to do is watch the goal score. Oh, or is this my assist? No, this is the goal.
Alright, so that's Jacob with an incredible pop that goes off the back wall, and then Fireburner going up.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And he cuts it a little close here, doesn't he?
Yeah, that almost hit the ground. Like, it was a very, I don't know. So he definitely meant to hit Jacob with this. The pass was right in Jacob's path. Beautiful.
Jacob does a great job of popping that up.
Yeah, that was
Waffle's doing his best over there to try to get back, and he's got the boost for it, but in the end, there's just no way he can catch up to this. And then off the tires and into the net.
That was close. Yeah, I know it does actually. I think it looks better from much further away. So let's get back to 3 seconds left. All right, so Untethered has all 3 players forward. They're trying as hard as they can also to get. Yeah, I'm gonna look at it from goal line. Don't worry. So they're trying as hard as they can to get their last second goal. And it is fairly common that all 3 players will go up, especially with 0 seconds left. And there's definitely a pretty often defensive lapse here. Let's get off this. Break it down second by second. So Fireburner gets a pretty shit clear here. Pluto, not too bad. Does Latch whiff this? No.
Pops it up. He places it against the back wall for Waffle. Waffle doesn't get there before who is that? I can't quite see. And then
Moses.
Pluto gets it back in.
Yeah.
And from there, the play begins.
Yeah, Latch did not do well with that ball. He definitely could have put that on target. Yeah, all of their positioning ended up being pretty bad. Yeah. Waffle should have definitely rotated out further. He's going to end up just kind of sitting here, just sitting. Luchino could have done better with that, for sure. He could have put it towards the goal instead of towards the corner. But
yeah,
all in all,
when you see 2 people sitting on that goal line ready to make the play, you want to try and get around those guys at the same time.
Yeah. Pluto does well again. Definitely no one even thinking about going back at this point.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, you look at these games, and more than 99 times out of 100, there's no chance that's coming back the other way like that. But that's an extraordinary series of plays by those players in order to make this even possible.
So this is what we all want to see right here. Holy shit. Someone screen cap that because... Ooh. It even bounces in the replay. Yeah, it was definitely there wasn't too much planned. It was entirely possible that Fireburner did see him though, because it was hit directly into his path.
Yeah, but when did Jacob break away to go on offense there? Because that's really what enabled this play in the first place. And that is so close.
Yeah, it really is.
Because that's key as well. As soon as Pluto turns around from his net, he goes towards the enemy goal, and that allows for him to be hit by Fireburner for the pop to make that goal happen.
Jacob doesn't even mean to get there. He goes up to challenge Latch and whiffs this completely. Like, Jacob's not even going to really get to that ball. And just ends up kind of floating around over here. That was pretty lucky positioning on his part. He's just headed back towards goal at this point. Ooh, he does stop. There was a little bit of planning on this. Jacob sees that Fireburner is going to get it.
No, I think that's a very alert play.
Yeah. Nice quick reactions from him. You know what? So let's go into Fireburner view.
The Fireburner cam going.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll credit Jacob a bit with that. Definitely pretty standard clear. I do agree with you there. Okay, let me get set up for our assist. Got any interesting gas facts for us?
Oh, gas facts. Well, we're killing some time here.
Yeah.
So what I can tell you on the series or on gases is we have 3 different players who are all tied for the highest number of gases per game, and those players are actually maybe what I'll do is leave a little bit of time for the chat to chime in. Who do you think is the most prolific in terms of getting 1 goal, 1 assist, and 1 save in a game? And while we're working on that, I can talk about double gases, which have happened only 9 times in the tournaments or in the league so far. All right, so Yemen guesses Yemen. I don't think if that's necessarily the answer. There would be some hacks involved if there were.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure it is not Yemen. I think Yemen's the only one that actually feels like talking, though.
Okay.
Defense,
we got defense is also
Yemen.
agreeing. So you said Mike, and that is absolutely correct. He's got 8 so far in 20 games for 40%. And Pants is always agreeing with Snow, which, that's great. But also, as well as there, you may have guessed that, of course, Kronovi is on that list, and you would be correct. But lastly, D-Pants, who has access to the spreadsheet and doesn't look like he's on, actually successfully guessed Vogan, which is also correct.
Yeah, Vogan putting them up, and they have less games than most of the other teams too.
Yeah, he's got 6 gas on 15 games, so the ratio works out to be the same.
Oh, this one's fun. All right, let's get into this one. This one's great. So this is going to be, it is Noble versus Crown and Jewels, game number 4. Second goal of the game, first goal for Crown and Jewels, and it is going to be an assist from Pashy. Play this out for you real slow, and you'll understand right quick why I think this was such a good play. You can see Pashy just demolish, I don't even know who that was, Skyline. Blows him right the hell up, and then pops it in for Sicky. Yeah. Wait, did I say SK? So let's look at a little bit further back and see how everyone got into this position. Right here's probably a good time. Take a good look at positioning. All fairly standard. Vogan probably a little far forward. Probably should be a bit more defensive there. Expecting a solid clear from Stocky. Stocky gets a not solid clear at all. Pashy does good to challenge. And Sicky definitely makes that play happen both on the goal and the pass to the assist. Vogan feels side flip, man. Okay. Here's where I want to see Pashy.
Pashy gets a touch.
That actually wasn't that bad of a hit from Stocky. The second could have been better. Oh, poor Skyline. He tries to jump out of the way too.
And just a little flick.
Yep.
And Sicky knows that's coming.
Yeah, he does well to get it under. take a look at it from Sicky Cam.
Now, the one thing I noticed in watching this replay before is he recovers extremely well after this aerial, pointing directly at the goal in case there's an opportunity. So he goes up, he does the flip, and he lands facing in an aggressive position so that he has the ability to go in and get this touch.
Yep. We'll get, I want to see what Skyline didn't see coming. I want to know, because he catches sight of Pesci at the last second, it looks like. Oh yeah, he switches he switches ball cam off to take a look over for the boost. Just comes back just in time to see the goal scored. Who is our I think it's Stocky that almost gets the save here. See if he can do this any better. Nah, that's at that point it's you're taking a gamble. Does he shoot high? Does he shoot low?
Yeah, it's just a lunge. And unfortunately, he's a little ahead of the ball there. If I could criticize him for anything, but that's a panic moment when you're like that.
Yeah, he's definitely...
You're just reaching across and flailing and hoping that you can get your car in the way.
He definitely... I don't think he should have hit the double jump. He totally could have saved his second jump there for something, anything, once he sees the ball actually connect with Sicky the second time. So he goes up and hits his second jump, which puts him just way too high. So let's go back just a little. I wish I could go back just a little, but I can't. Okay. So he's coming in. He sees that Sicky is definitely getting a shot here. And he jumps. And he second jumps. You can hear it there. He definitely should not have taken the second jump had he stayed on a course that was in line with his first jump, and even the angle that he's going up at, he would have been about dead center in goal. Instead, he ends up a bit high.
Yeah, he definitely misjudges, and you obviously want to save that second jump. So at the point when the other team makes contact, you can make yourself big by doing some kind of flip. And unfortunately, in that scenario, he just had no chance in his position to make it. And but credit to Sicky as well, he hit it with his tires to kind of deaden the shot so that it definitely went in.
Yeah, and I think I'm almost certain here. I'm going to get out to, yeah, nope, this one. So we'll watch his trajectory across the goal. So right now he's at a good height. At this height, if he backflips, he's just going to stop and he's going to hit any ball that's not exactly on the ground. And he could, Wales the Outlaw, thanks for following. He could also hit his double jump again to pop straight up and hit pretty much any ball that's not directly up.
But again, we're talking about fractions of seconds as this happens.
Yeah, but that's definitely something that he can do in a fraction of a second. It's a reaction thing, but it's definitely something that they're capable of doing. I mean, he shouldn't be the one having to save this, for sure, but he is the one that is stuck with it.
Especially being one person down after the demo.
Yeah, we'll take a look at where Vogan was in just a second.
Yeah, and he is, looking at it from that angle, he is nowhere close to that ball.
No, he wasn't. And he had a decent chance to get in a good position to save it. All right, so let's find Vogan. Vogan goes for a challenge that he is absolutely never going to get. So let's take a look at Vogan. Is he one of our double gas leaders, or Just gas.
Vogan, I believe that he is among the gas leaders, and he is not. It's interesting. Anyone who's achieved gas has not achieved double gas, at least at the highest level. We have 9 players who've hit double gas, of which.
What are his camera settings? Jesus.
Here, let me look at this.
That's interesting that he's following it at that angle, because that's his player cam we're watching. So he has absolutely no idea. A triple gas would be a playmaker,
A savior,
and a hat
and
trick.
a hat trick.
Yeah.
All in one game.
Weird. I didn't realize that camera settings could affect you. Like, I'm in player view watching Vogan here.
It's amazing that he can follow it while he's in the dirt there.
Yeah, that's... he had no idea that Siki was even going for that at that point. I'm sure you could, Yemen.
Yeah, he doesn't stand a chance, and that's some poor decision making.
I think if that's what he's seeing, if that's actually what he's seeing and not a replay bug that we're getting, let's watch it at 100% just to see if that's just a replay bug. No, I mean he's catching grass there. He doesn't even know that Siki's on his way. Alright, so we've definitely spent enough time on that goal. So we're going to throw you back here. And we're actually going to go back to the exact same replay we were just watching. And we're going to catch a very quick reaction save from Lachinio. Not one of the greatest saves I've ever seen, but it was, it's something that we can definitely talk about.
Yeah, interesting. Yemen says that he wouldn't see the grass. That's a replay bug.
Yeah,
and
but he's still. You catch some very interesting graphics stuff though when you're looking at it at that angle. It wouldn't be full grass. He's not going to be completely blind, but you do end up seeing. Not the best view when you're basically looking at it from underground.
Yeah, that and it gives you absolutely no scope on what any of your teammates or anybody else on the pitch is doing.
Oh. Alright. We'll watch this through Latch's eyes at the beginning here. Oh. Player view. Please. Thank you. So just good positioning. And that shot, we'll watch it here again, is on target. Oh. So you see the hit from Jacob. Let's go into goal for this. And that
Lachinio gets up fast with that double jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very quick reaction, very good decision making from him, and it is definitely going to be a goal. Beautiful demolition there. Love seeing those.
Pretty sure CJ just makes his picks based on the number of demolitions that occur in the plays that he's going to cover.
I love demos, man. They're amazing. And that actually wasn't entirely intentional. Let's watch a little bit. We'll watch a little bit going up to it now. Start here. Ball's kind of dead. Oh, I went way far back. No, I didn't. Lachinio is doing very good to rotate back. So, I don't know about Pluto though. Waffle's on ball here. Latch is...
for long.
Yeah, not for long. Latch is on basically second defense at that point, and then Pluto's rotating back. Latch does very good to set up near post. Hopefully either knowing or trusting that Pluto's going to get to far post as he was on his way. They are stuck without Waffle at that point.
Yeah, and that demo does specifically allow for Jacob to get that shot uncontested.
Yep. Who made the demo, Moses?
I missed it.
Yeah, Moses peers through the boom. And, I mean, Jacob puts pace on it, too. He gets a solid hit, and that's going to hit under a crossbar. Like, that's going to hit the lower part of the crossbar. If it doesn't go in, it's at least going to bounce up and down in the goal.
It's a pretty audacious shot when you look at it. From that angle, with a player covering the net in the proper position, you really need a perfect shot. And he took a perfect shot. It was just a better save.
Yeah, he goes up at a bad angle. Yeah, he does definitely go up at a bad angle. And I think he also double jumped. He could have saved jump for that. But he was going for beating the reaction. But Lichinio's reaction speed was just excellent in that situation there. So let's watch the shot from Jacob's point of view also. Too far. Sorry. Yeah, he does double jump for it. I mean, it gives you a little bit more pace going towards it. He's just trying to beat him high. Like taking the risk and trying to beat the goalie on the glove side. Thinking that your shot can get there fast enough.
He definitely challenged him to make that save because it was very well positioned. It could have been a little bit closer to the corner, but with what he had to work with, that was a labeled shot. And Lichinio did very well to get a piece of it. And he even controlled the rebound. It went right over Fireburner and allowed for an attack to break out in the other direction.
Yeah, I'm not. He definitely did not plan any rebound there. That was just him trying to get to the ball. But he did get a very good clear off it as well. Let's see. The Lichinio is one of our G.A.S leaders. He has more single game goal assist saves than anyone else on his team, which was one of the main reasons that I picked this one. Jacob's leading.
He's also the proprietor of one of the 9 coveted double G.A.Ses that have happened.
Jacob happens to lead Kings of Urban. I believe it could be a useful stat just as far as like the most well-rounded players. All right, Night Yemen, and actually we are starting to do some articles there. Instead of just posting to Reddit, we're going to be posting our articles, especially anything stats related, recap related. It's going to be going to Rocket-League, and depending if it's something that's definitely esports related, it's going to be in the central part of it. So if you just go to actually RocketLeagueCentral.com, it'll direct you to the main page, and you'll see the most recent articles. Most of which have been written by me, but those are just the recaps right now. All right. So
I need to get some of my stuff in there.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. We are going to go into our 50% replays now. Get the first one queued up for you. It is going to be Crown and Jewels versus Noble. Game number 5. This is a 0-1. So we're going to see a lot of good defense here. or at least some pretty poor offense. Get this up. Give me just a second, guys.
So, as was mentioned before, we've got 9 players who have achieved 2 goals, 2 assists, and 2 saves in the same game. And on that list, there's some pretty surprising names. ELMP Lamp is obviously very good at this game. A Lot has one. X3 has one. As does Lichinio, which doesn't surprise anyone. Husky has one. Hot Wheels has one. Hot Wheels Sid. As well as Kronovi, which, again, probably unsurprising. SAT has one. So IBP is the only team that's actually managed to get 2 in the same team before. Obviously in different games. And then lastly, Jacob has managed to achieve that. But in terms of leaders, we give it to X3 because he's played less games than everybody else.
All right, so we're going to get into our first game here. And like I said, this is Crown and Jewels vs. Noble, Game 5. We are on Urban. Get this set to 50%, and let's start watching this.
Urban's my favorite regular map, by the way.
I do like it. It has a great look. It's actually, if you go back to SARP, it is the only what we would consider standard map. All of the rest of the maps had different shapes to them, and Urban had this shape here that we are that we're used to playing on here now. Decent chance there.
Here's a rebound attempt. That's directed generally towards net, but without enough force to really have any impact.
Seeing good rotations here from Noble at least. Breaks down a little bit with Vogan not going towards goal there, but hopefully transitioning to offense. Not the greatest clear from Skyline, but
it's a really awkward ball that no one's able to get to. So in terms of rebounds, I would call that a success simply by virtue of the fact that no one was able to respond to it quickly.
Yeah, he caught Crown and Jewels on their way back. Transitioning into defense, which is something I've noticed that they do a little bit too often these days. They're expecting a solid clear, and as soon as they realize that someone's going to get to the ball with a good clear opportunity, they'll all rotate back onto defense. While not being the worst decision, it is definitely taking away from their offensive opportunities that they've had before. Thanks for the follow, Civic.
All right, so now we get to take a little bit of a look at the breakout of Crown and Jewels, but there's not a lot really happening here.
Yeah, and we won't get too much like real good action this game. Oh, that was a pretty bad whiff by Easy. Luckily, Sicky there to back him up. Stocky staying on a hard defensive position there.
Yeah, it looks like he needed some boost. He should be able to come in here and put that back into danger, but that 50-50 ball was won cleanly by Vogan. And see, this is a good ball. Because it forces...
Go for it.
Go ahead.
No.
It forces 2 players into the corner here in order to try to deal with it, because it's split right between the 2 of them. And that means that there is an opportunity here, but it looks like we're going to be not seeing anything out of it, simply because of how quick Orange got into the air.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that both of these teams are playing what I would consider more of an NA style, where we're seeing... let me get out of ball cam here for a second. Where we're seeing one player back and one player is staying back pretty consistently. This was the old I by Power, or sorry, that was Cosmic. What was their second part of their name? Cosmic
Aftershock.
Yeah, Cosmic Aftershock. Their old style with Gibbs playing almost always back.
More of a sweeping role.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't go past midline very often until someone needed to go back to get boost, and he would fill in for them on the offensive. Ooh, Pesci did very good to beat, I believe it was Vogan there, and would have had the second touch. Actually, I want to go back and watch that. Yeah, because I like demos. So, Pesci gets a good touch here to get it over. He gets it over Vogan, and then Stocky does very good to blow him up, as Pesci would have had him beat on the bounce there for a pretty decent opportunity on goal, especially for Pesci. All three packed into the net.
We're getting close to a goal here, so
Okay.
2 players up there. That's a communication issue.
That was all 3 up, too. I think it's Stocky. Stocky at least decides to not go all the way up for this. But, yeah, Vogan definitely should be the person going up for this. Skyline should be rotating into goal. Stocky as well. And Stocky does good to not keep going for it. I don't know what... And Skyline was like insurance there, but he puts himself way out of position for anything coming back at net.
Mm-hmm. And notice as well, as soon as that ball lands, they all break into the offense. And that's surely going to result in a lack of preparedness for this shot.
Oh, sicky. I remember this now.
That's a very good touch.
Yeah, it really is. So we have both Stocky and Vogan here. Way far forward. What's up, Lori Cop? Is that Gino? Is Lori Cop Gino Cop?
I don't know.
I don't
You'll have
remember.
to tell us.
Yeah, I'm asking. I do want to watch that one more time.
But Sicky, absolutely ridiculous goal as he spins backwards and gets a nose on it.
Yeah, there's definitely miscommunication there between Vogan and Stocky. Again, both of them way too far forward. Skyline.
Skyline just misreads.
Oh, you're actually Gino Cop's sister? That's interesting. Hi.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, that touch by Sicky there to put that in was excellent. Go back on ball count for a little while.
It's a clean face-off win.
Since it's the only face-off of the game, we will watch it again. I'll try and break it down for you. Interesting. So we are not seeing boost. Oh, awesome. This is probably not the best for learning to play, but if you're looking for general game strategy and positioning, that's more of what we're going to cover on this section.
So at that point, they're cleanly off the kickoff, even though they went for a fairly fast kickoff, and that looks like they just misread the angle, or it was a botched kickoff.
Vogan. So the way that Vogan flipped was not intended to be a full fast kickoff. That's definitely a much more defensive, safer kickoff. If your opponent doesn't go for the fastest kickoff possible, you'll get there and you'll have the second touch on it. Your brother is still exceptionally good at the game. Oh, Skyline knocking Stocky. I actually can't watch on ball cam because I want to be able to look at where all the other players are.
Mm-hmm. So a bit of confusion there as they try to figure out what to do with that particular ball, and in the end they end up putting it back into their own corner.
Yeah, not the worst decision considering that there was absolutely no Crown and Jewels players on that side at that point. But it could have been executed definitely cleaner. Oh, Pesci doesn't get the touch he wants.
It's a good dunk right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Sends it back deep into the Noble zone, or into Crown and Jewels zone, I should say.
Very important dunk.
Nice, very patient in order to get that out of pressure.
Yep. We'll watch that one more time, just because watching. Oh, it looks like Stocky. Well, I mean, he was expecting Pesci to take a hit, and Pesci doesn't. A little bit of mind games there. Vogan stuck upfield, but Sicky doesn't challenge. Controller is better unless you're Geno Cop. I don't understand how he's so good with keyboard. It's impressive.
I literally every time that I've heard that he's a keyboard player, I've said I need verification. I don't actually know for sure if that's the case. That sounds preposterous, but I believe it now.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. Very good touch there by Stocky. He's not going to get it past him though, obviously.
Some good patience, but ultimately he doesn't have a plan for that ball, and it's easy for Crown and Jewels to take that and turn it around.
Yeah, I'm noticing Skyline out of position fairly often. Does he have a mechanical keyboard, like Cherry Blues that are just really loud? Here, I'll oh, here, permit Lori Cop. And I do apologize for anyone that's actually watching. Okay. I'm back. We'll take that back because I'm doing stuff in chat.
Although we did specifically say we wanted to do these videos at 50% so we could keep within a reasonable timeline. So let's not back that up too much.
Yeah, I know. There's so many things I want to stop and look at sometimes though. Try and keep that down to 2 or 3 times a game.
No, that's risky there. That's so risky.
Yeah, Pesci should have put that in.
When you're the last person back like that, that is a dangerous, dangerous decision to make.
Decent hit there by Sicky. No one there.
Yeah.
Skyline whiffs as well. Stocky gets beat, but there's no follow-up from Crown and Jewels.
We see this time and time again, and I think you're going to say the same thing as me. As soon as Crown and Jewels gives up possession, they all flip around and go back towards their own net rather than having someone designated to go put pressure on the ball.
Yeah, they're. I think it's just that their defense is not high pressure. Decent chance there by Pesci. This is going to be another decent chance, but because Sicky is on the defensive, he's a little too far away to get to it. Finally, a good clear from Stocky. Pesci doesn't do too well with it, gives it back to Stocky.
And let's be fair, Crown and Jewels does spectacularly with the system that they have, and with that defense-first approach, they're definitely making sure that they're not surrendering as many chances.
Yep, that is for sure. They're definitely one of the more defensive teams in EU. Oh, there's definitely a possibility there. Stocky does good to get that.
Yeah, and just to put that into context, the leader of Europe in terms of goals against per game is Crown and Jewels, with 2.1 goals against per game. They also have the third highest save percentage, which is the top in EU as well, with a 71.4% save percentage.
Interesting. Good bump by Easy. No one there. How does he not get a decent pass off for this? Because of the demo. Good job on Skyline there. That is going to take us into 0-second time. Noble fighting for this game at this point.
They're really quite clumped together as they try to get that opportunity. And certainly while you want a couple of your players to put pressure on the ball to keep it in the air, you need an option in order to actually get that goal scored.
Yeah, and that happens a lot of the time towards in the 0-second time. Everyone's going to go to it in case someone misses it. All right. So without further ado, just watch me go into the next one. We're going to pick up with Flipside 4, 5, versus MyXMG. This is game number 4. And DMR's notes on this are just cooks things. Just cooks your things. Am I on 50? I am. He's going to end up with 4 goals and 3 saves in this game. This is going to be a much higher scoring game than our last one. Which is to be expected with the play style that Flipside plays. They are a much more offensive heavy team. They do give up a fair amount of easy goals just by bad positioning and one person not winning the ball. They like to rely on individual skill and being able to trust that their teammates are going to win the challenges. That's their defensive plan, is that whoever is supposed to be on the ball is going to win it. Very few times do you see someone from Flipside just sit back and goal. It just doesn't happen for them very often.
That European style. So here, coming up to the first goal, we see a clearance attempt. Not sure if they got a piece of it, but this goes back into the blue zone. There's a nice little touch there, and then a nice dunk for the goal.
Yeah, it looks like a lot was going for a dunk on Mike and did not manage to get to it. That's that kickoff that we just saw there with both players doing more of a floating style kickoff is something I've seen gaining a lot of traction, at least in the Pro League. You're not seeing as many people drive up to the ball. They'll take to the air well earlier than they used to. It's just, I guess, a way that kickoffs have been evolving. Great pass here by Mike. Cook's here in the right spot at the right time. Sniper Kid goes for the high block there, and Cooks just lets it drop low.
Yeah, that's the first of a few times we're going to see that man tonight.
Yeah, that's the point of this replay. Just Cooks things. Double fast kickoff. They get there almost the same time. Looks like Turbo Pulso a little bit faster to it.
And it's the follow-up 50-50 that's one there that allows for some initial offense to be created.
Mike feels backflip, man. Turbo doesn't do much with that. He definitely could have gotten a decent touch on there.
Yeah, certainly a misread. And then a nice soft touch there to bring it back for his own player.
It looked like a missed touch by Mike, honestly. Cooks, I believe that was a save.
Yeah, he pushes that across the far side of the goal where there are no players from the other team, which is exactly what you need to do with those.
Yeah, definitely. He has very good situational awareness when it comes to making his saves. You don't see him scored on very often after making a block. He gets at least he at least clears it to the side of the goal instead of just leaving it in the center. Good touch there by Mike.
Yeah. Of all the players in this game, you could make a very strong case that Cooks here has the best car control of anyone else.
Yeah, and especially like watching his stream, the stuff that he does, just getting around the map, it's it's incredible to watch. Like, I understand why so many people love watching him. There's another save for you from Cooks.
He just uses all parts of his car to do what he needs to do, and there's a lot of players who simply use the front of their vehicle or the back of the vehicle, sometimes the side. Cooks it.
Great demo there. Gotta love it. A little bit high there from Mike. Turbo does very good above goal clear there from Turbo Pulsa. Followed up well by a lot. We do see Cooks way back on this one. He was definitely getting boost. Another 1v1 win for Mike.
Then a very dangerous cross across his own net there.
Yeah, he took the risk, but he knew that he could beat Markey to it and get it to where Markey couldn't get to it. That was a very good opportunity for Mike that he whiffs on.
But the pressure is not off, although that saves a goal right there with that touch.
Mm-hmm. Very good touch for a lot there.
That's a rattled off the crossbar.
Yeah. Mike tends to put those in too. Oh. There's talking so well about a lot, and he misses that one there. Takes a good touch though. Takes control, which is something that I've noticed a lot of teams have been having problems with recently. They have to choose sometimes between taking a hard clear and keeping control of the ball. And we're seeing a lot more of the hard clears chosen, when I think that some control could definitely be used.
And what I liked about it specifically is that he pushed the ball into an area that had very little presence from either of the teams, so it gave him an opportunity to build a play out of his possession.
I don't know if that counted as a save there, but Cooks definitely should have been credited. I think he got credited for that one, which wasn't as oh, that was a goal.
And those just
though.
feel so bad.
Yeah,
those just feel so bad.
Yeah, just out of position. This is going to be one of the few times that I'm going to stop and back up, and we're going to look at the positioning of my XMG when they go into this. So, sniper goes up. He's going to get a little bit of a hit on it. No, that's a decent shot. Cooks makes the save.
Causes two people to go up for it.
Mm-hmm. Turbo's decision right there to go to the ball instead of going back and rotating back for defensive position was pretty poor in my opinion. There's a very low possibility of him doing anything in that position to turn that into a goal.
Yeah. The other thing I'll mention is the shot itself was the kind of shot that can be turned into an offensive opportunity very quickly. If you put those high, then it forces your opponents to make a much more high skill cap kind of play in order to push that back into the enemy zone.
Yeah, you'll get a lot of dead balls
right
from
across
high
the
shots.
ground, and that instantly allowed for them to turn on the jets and start going the other way.
All right. So for this one, we're getting 25% speed. We're going to watch Cooks here from his own view, because this is just we're taking this back a little bit. Speed it up. Okay. Markey doesn't even win this kickoff, but Cooks is in a very good place to follow it up. He gets a good bounce off the curb there, and no one is in position for my XMG in the goal. And this is definitely just Cooks doing Cooks things. It's a little bit of helicopter action. Adjusting. That's a dirty goal. I love seeing that stuff.
It is. Absolutely filthy. And I didn't mean to pick this game for this goal, but this is the quintessential Cooks here goal. Everything that we know that player for just manifest there from that play.
Yeah, definitely. Wall shot, crazy aerial.
He even freestyled it in, which is extra spectacular.
Yeah, a little bit of a freestyle for sure, where he's just kind of helicoptering upside down.
Yeah, like he wasn't sure if he was going to hit it off of his left bumper or his right bumper, and eventually it just went in the net.
Let's see what happens here. Markey caught out of position by that bounce.
We have a player going for boost, and then it's just in the net.
Yeah, and that's Flipside trusting their teammates. So Markey's on ball duty, basically. So Mike and Cooks are not terribly concerned. They're expecting Markey to get a good read on the ball and get a save, at least stop it, and they should be there for the follow-up. Good read there by Markey, knowing that Turbo Pulse is going to try and put that high. Turbo gets a pretty weak hit on it, though. Cook's stealing the goal.
Beat to the ball, and that was definitely going in anyways. All right, one more kickoff for you. Two more kickoffs.
Yeah, you'll see Turbo doing the floating kickoff at it, and Mike just doing a very standard drive up to the ball.
It's a very slow kickoff. Mm-hmm. Very slow kickoff from Mike.
And knowing Mike,
definitely did get. Go ahead.
Knowing Mike, he very well could have read, and seen that Turbo Pulsa went up, and knew that he could just beat him to it, because Turbo Pulsa can't adjust his angle that dramatically. Definitely should have put that in. Yeah, that's a bad shot. That's something that you have to finish. Could be the fact that they're down 5-1, tilting just a little bit.
When you're playing Flipside, you've got to take every chance they give you.
Mm-hmm. And you've got to put in the open goals, because they're gonna. I think who was that? A lot that came over in front probably screwed up the save there. I wish we had replays in this so we could at least watch the goal one more time. But hopefully next patch, I'm hoping for a lot of spectator changes. Markey taking the slow kick off there, gets the win on it. But a lot wins the 50-50 with Mike.
I would be elated with changes in the new patch if they just changed one small little thing. And that is, when you start casting, the orange score is pointing onto the blue side.
I know.
And the blue score is pointing to the orange side. And that's just such a small oversight. And although I'm not a developer myself, just does not seem like a complex fix. And it's been in the game now for the 6 months.
It's been mentioned to Durkin recently, and I think that it should have gotten to them at some point. It does give you the opportunity to do a nice little fly around on the ball and end up on the right side. But
very cinematic. Very cinematic.
That's about it, though. Oh,
Flipside, not a lot left going on in this game.
Yeah, Flipside a bit out of position there. If a lot had a better touch on that, they could have had a very good opportunity. A couple Spider-Mans on the wall. Good touch by Sniper Kid, actually, to stop Markey from getting to that and delay any offense they had. Cooks again.
Off the wall, audacious shot, and it almost works.
Yeah, it's on target, which is good, especially considering my XMG's positioning. Had it had more pace to it, that could have gone in. A little bit hard there from Turbo Pulse, so you didn't need to knock that so hard, or he needed to beat Markey with it. Markey just sitting in front. Markey is okay. So Markey is here to prevent the Brazil or steal a goal. I'm not entirely sure. I know that Markey is one of the people that he doesn't like the Brazil thing. He
just because it's kind of rubbing people's noses in the victory, or
No, he just
Because he
does.
thinks it's a little cliche at this point.
Yeah, and it's Kronovi's thing, and they've always had a little bit of a back and forth there, being
Well, that's good.
yeah, number one in A and number one EU.
Okay, so now that this game is over, let's talk about Cooks here in this game. Recorded a score of 585 with 4 goals, 1 assist, 3 saves, and 3 shots. So we actually managed to score more goals than shots he took in this game. Somehow.
It's probably that one he stole. I don't know if that's going to give you a shot, that one that you steal right there on the goal line.
Well, we have an ongoing scientific laboratory experiment to try to determine exactly what a shot is in this game, and I think one of these days we're going to figure this out. And when we find out it has to do with some kind of timer, then I will be vindicated in every way.
What kind of timer do you mean? Like,
As in the amount of time from which a player touches a ball to when it goes in the net.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's some kind of cooldown that if it happens outside of that period, it's not considered a shot.
So here's SK Gaming with the sub Tequilas, who actually does fairly well for himself, playing against Spectral.
All of our data is trash. That is correct. We should just restart from the beginning, Pants. Just wipe it all out.
Yeah, I hope that we see some changes to the way that stats are done in game. You know, just cleaning it up a little bit would be great. There's a lot of cases where saves don't get counted as saves these days, but that's not the most important part. So Psionics can definitely keep worrying about the other stuff, and you know, maybe one day when they get some free time, give us some cleanup on the stats side. Ooh, Jazer with a pretty bad whiff there. Puts him way out of position.
It's about as wide as you can go. He's not going to be back in that play for, well, long enough for them to get scored on anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a decent block there by Tequilas to stop that from going right into the face of goal, but definitely not that much of. Could have had a little bit better there.
So do we want to talk a little bit about predictions that we have for the upcoming game? Because
yeah.
you look at those predictions, and both you and Pants have said that Spectral is going to lose the next series, where I believe that they're going to win. 3-2 both ways, but I honestly do think that Spectral is a better team than this Pro League has allowed them to be thus far due to the difficulty of their schedule.
And this is Spectral versus MyXMG, I believe, right?
This is Spectral versus MyXMG. Yes, that is correct. Sorry, I'm playing with too many tabs right now. We see there Jazer wins the 50-50, right to Remco. Remco pushes that past a couple of players. It's a good clearance by Tequilas. Unfortunately, that allows for Mystic to go up and put a shot on frame. 2 players go up for it.
Yeah,
and just cleaning up the rebound. It's a nice pass, actually.
Very good redirect by Mystic. Those aren't the easiest thing to do, that's for sure. Just getting just enough of your car on it to put it in. I think that was intended to be a shot that went off target that Mystic was lucky enough to be in position for. So back to MyXMG versus Spectral. I think that we're also not seeing as much out of MyXMG as we could. There are definitely some games that I see them playing. Oh, just bad clear by Dadu. So there's games that I see MyXMG play that definitely, I feel that they're not up to their full level. maybe they're just inconsistent, and that's holding them back. But I think that they're one of the better teams. I would put them at number 4, which I think is the difference that you and me think is I have my XMG at number 4 and you have Spectral at number 4.
Yeah. So when you look at the raw numbers in the tournament or in the league so far, you see that my XMG is doing very well in some categories. For instance, they're third in the league in shots against per game at 7.07 per game, and that's very impressive. The difficulty there is they're 10th overall in save percentage. So the shots that they're giving up are higher quality shots, which leads me to believe that they are very aggressive in how they play, and that's kind of backed up by the fact that they take 8.67 shots per game, which is good for 5th best in Pro League so far. So when I look at my XMG, I see that they're a very aggressive team that gets burned quite frequently by the aggression that they're putting out on the pitch.
Okay, yeah, I completely believe that. I see them as... I know there's some notable goals that I can remember where they're caught out of position by being too offensive on it. So that definitely lines up. I wouldn't... Their save... You said that their save percentage was pretty low, right?
That's correct. So save percentage, we're looking at 642, which is good for 10th overall.
Yeah.
We compare that to Spectral, and they're 6th, but the gap is not significant there. I think that Spectral just has a more balanced game than my XMG, and that's why I'm picking them to do better here.
Okay.
But we should probably talk about this game while we have it on.
Yeah, a little bit. This is quite the rout by Spectral. I think it's their best showing they had against SK Gaming. SK's been on quite a bit of a decline. I'm not going to cite Yemen leaving as the cause because all 3 of their other players, Dadu, Jazer, and Skyline or X3MW, are excellent players, and they've played just fine without Yemen in the past. There's something else going on. I think that they're just behind the curve. They're not advancing in their team play and their strategic aspects as well as the other teams are. They're keeping up their individual skills for sure, but they could definitely use some strategy. Some serious work on their rotations would definitely help. Maybe just having a full game plan in general.
So I don't want to condemn them, but in a lot of ways I can see a lot of comparisons. They're basically the Market Esports of the European region. Mm-hmm. As in, they allow 3.33 goals against per game, which is the 2nd worst in the league. The only team that's worse in that particular stat is Orange Creamsicle. Their save percentage is 624. Their number of shots against is 8.88. So you look at it, they're 3rd worst in shots against, and they are 2nd worst in save percentage. And when you put both of those together, it's very, very, very hard, or it's very easy to point out exactly what's going on with their game that needs some help. Just allowing too many chances and too many good chances in a game. And that's translating into losses.
Yeah, for me, it really does come down to communication and positioning for them. Like, just here, you'll see that Dadu and Tequila's... Well, I kind of wish we had one with X3 in here, because X3 is extremely aggressive, and he'll sit at half field with shots being taken on goal, hoping for the rebound to get the counter.
We just saw him go flying wide on an attempt for a dunk that turned out not to be.
That is their only goal. They caught Spectral out of position. I think at that point Spectral is a bit getting a bit complacent. I've noticed a number of teams getting complacent once they're at least 3 goals ahead, and it drops below 2 minutes. See a bit of complacency come out where they're not they're not focusing anymore on making sure they rotate. They're going for plays that they have very low chances of getting to. You'll see here,
So
all of SK are up. Remco is definitely out of position, but all of SK are up. Jazer could have done much better with that. He didn't get any power on it. Easy clear by Mystic.
yeah, and then Tequila's cleaned up the rebound in quite an efficient way, gets the wall ride, and gets that into the opponent's zone. So, on that subject, I'm going to make another hockey comparison because we see a lot of parallels between this game and hockey. And specifically in that regard, they say in hockey that nothing is more dangerous than a 3-goal lead. And it's very much that as soon as you start to get ahead by a certain amount, you begin to go, oh, okay, we can just ride this game out. Like, there's no real action that we need to take in order to win it. And you take your foot off the gas, to use a racing metaphor. And you don't take the same kind of risks. And in hockey, it's often about not having your body exposed to trauma. But I think in Rocket League, the same kind of parallels can be drawn as well, where you just go, we've got a 3-goal lead, we can circle back, we can kill out the rest of this time. And what boggles my mind is that you had this game plan, and it allowed you to get this 3-goal lead in the first place. So why are you at this point making a decision to change it? You really should be pressing on with what's working and forcing your opponents to change their game to beat you. But the psychology of it just says, rest up for a little bit, and this game will just ride itself out. And probably 95 times out of 100, you will be able to pull out the game, and it's not going to be a problem. But when you relax yourself a bit, that's when you allow for the other team to get back in.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think it's a little bit different for Rocket League because you're not pulling back. You're actually pushing forward too hard. At a 3-goal lead, especially if it's an early 3-goal lead, you're going to see a lot of players going for shots that they shouldn't. Beautiful shot there by Shorty.
That's a nice wall hit goal.
Yeah. But you're going to see a lot of players going for shots that they shouldn't, trying for, I guess, easy plays. I see the ball, I'm going for the ball, as opposed to I'm not in position to take this challenge. I should be rotating back to a more defensive position. So you'll see people jump up in the air for for challenges that they really can't win. And if they were in a different position, they would know that they can't win them, and just you uncorking a bottle. I heard some booze.
Yeah, that's my 10-year Lafrogue getting another dose poured.
Nice. I'm just drinking beer. But yeah,
Well,
so
I'm from Vancouver, and we are snotty alcohol consumers, so.
So you get people trying for montage-like plays once they're about 3 goals up. And oftentimes, at least for the better teams, like Mystic here, he probably shouldn't have gone up for that. But the chance of getting a really awesome goal made him go up for it. He's like, oh, I've got plenty of time. The game's over. But that's just one of those things that you're going to see fairly often once people get a 3-goal lead. So now,
so long as we keep making top 5 goals of the week, people are going to try to get on it. I know I would if I was leading by 3 goals.
Oh yeah, and it's fun, and that's one of the things that people are thinking when they say, like, we got a buffer. Let's just go for it. Okay, so now we're into one of the best games of last weekend. This is Untethered versus Kings of Urban, Game 5 on Wasteland. And we're going to see one of the best 0-second goals. I don't think it's overtime. So this series in general was absolutely amazing. Anyone that has not watched the whole series, I highly advise that you go back to the Rocket League Central Twitch VODs and take a look. It's the last game of the day. Jump towards the end, find the beginning of this series, and watch it from start to beginning. We previously took a look at Game 1, took a look at a goal, a 0-second buzzer beater, beautiful goal that allowed Kings of Urban to win it. And then we also took a look at a save from Lachinho a little bit earlier on at the beginning of the game.
There's a miscommunication there as two of those players go up for it and end up bumping each other. They're lucky they don't get scored on in that situation.
Yeah, definitely.
But I absolutely agree. Check out the VOD. Eventually, I think we're going to get these up on YouTube, and this is going to be the series to watch. If I point people towards a series that has gone on so far in the Pro League, I'm fairly certain that this is the series that deserves your attention.
Yeah, it had everything. Goals, saves.
Amazing technical play.
Yeah. Individual play. 0-second goals, overtime goals, everything. This could have easily been a 4-1 in favor of Untethered too if it wasn't for the clutch end of game play and overtime play we saw from Kings of Urban.
Yeah, and it really illustrates just how fine a line it can be. Going into this game, we saw that that the statistics for Kings of Urban were just absolutely incredible in terms of what they've managed to achieve compared to some of the other teams in the Pro League right now. They're just second or third best in every statistic that we track, and that's really, really impressive. But to see a team come up against them who haven't quite done as well in the standings and step up to the plate and say, we're going to bring you to overtime, or we're going to bring you to the dying seconds of every game that we play, is really quite impressive.
Yeah, and the teams looked very evenly matched. Kings of Urban definitely taking a bit of just a little bit of a lead on the matchup there. But I think Untethered is a very strong contender for the third position now after that series. I know that maybe not in standings they'll be third, but as far as being the third best team, I think that they're very close at that.
Mm-hmm. So, looking at Untethered as a team, I think that some of the things that we can draw the attention to is their goals against is fourth best in the league. They're letting in only 2.2 goals a game compared to the league average of 2.55. And when you look at their save percentage, it's at 70.8, which is also fourth in the league. They're better than Flipside in that regard, not by a sizable amount, but that is the real strength of their lineup. Compare that 70.8 to the league average of 67. So that's an area where they really excel. But I do have to say that it's a real cluster you-know-what in terms of who's going to be the final two positions. There's probably four teams that are vying for the playoffs in NA. And we know who two are going to be, but the other four are absolutely in contention for it. And this week's going to answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited about the iBuyPower versus Kings of Urban game. That could very well determine who goes into the playoffs with the first standing and gets the number 4 seed from Europe as opposed to the number 3, which could be the difference between Crown and Jewels and Spectral, for example, or Noble or MyXMG. So having that first place spot is actually going to be very important for NA. Probably not so much for EU. I think that the first, second slot isn't going to be that dramatic of a difference on their opponents, but the top 3 teams in EU are on a different level than the other 4. And you want to face that number 4 in the playoffs as opposed to having to go up against the number 3 seed.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. One thing that I will say is in terms of placement, if you finish first overall, you're going up against a fourth team or fourth overall team in the playoffs, and that's going to make a big difference compared to playing against a third best team if you're ending up second in one of the divisions.
Hmm.
So there is incredible motivation, as far as I'm concerned, to finish top in your conference.
And then you also don't have to face the. It would probably be the number one team um, from either conference after that. So you would have. So if you're looking at a bracket, you're gonna have 1-4, and then you're gonna have 2-3, and then you're gonna have the other 1-4 and 2-3 on the other side of the bracket. So you're gonna have. So in Kings of Urban's case, if you get first, you get number 4 EU, and then either number 3 NA or number 2 EU, I believe is how it's going to work.
So pick your poison between Crown and Jewels and Flipside, which is still not particularly pleasant.
Or Supersonic Avengers. All of those are bad, but in my opinion, Flipside's going to be worse, assuming they take the number 1. So if they're number 2, they face the number 3 of EU, which is going to suck either way. It's Supersonic Avengers or it's Crown and Jewels. Both are terrifying teams. And then after that, you're very likely going to be playing against iBuyPower if they're number 1, or Flipside if they're number 1. That's the hard road. You're much better situated if you take that first seed.
So just watching the game here, I'm impressed by how Blue so far has been able to use the width of the pitch. They've intentionally made plays that cut across it and are putting balls up against the wall. Yeah, it's a cluster, you know what, Dave. So they've really been able to use the width of that pitch in order to create space for themselves and to initiate attacks that don't have much of the other team involved in them. And that's the real advantage that I see from the Wasteland pitch, is that it gives you an opportunity. A player like an A Money, for instance, is going to do very well on Wasteland because they have the breadth to be able to do the dribbling that they're able to do. And we know almost with certainty when that series goes on Sunday, which you should tune into, by the way, if you're listening to this before Sunday, when Kings of Urban plays IBP Cosmic with Gibbs out and A Money replaced for him, that I think is going to be an absolutely fascinating watch, is to see how well A Money does when he's given that extra space provided by the Wasteland pitch.
I don't think Kings of Urban's going to give him space, though. They're going to know that he's adept at dribbling and 1v1 situations. That's a player that you pressure hard. And Kings of Urban can definitely pressure hard.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that that they'll definitely have a high-intensity game going on, but when you're given a little bit more width on the pitch, you're given a little bit more space, I think that really unlocks a situation where A Money can take advantage of it. And we do know that he's being asked to play more of a Gibbsian role in that formation. So he's very often going to be able to take balls that are weak shots on net and translate them into transitional goal scoring opportunities in the other direction. So look for that to happen on Sunday.
Oh, beautiful by Moses there to put that in.
Definitely takes advantage of the breadth of the pitch there and the hard walls of Wasteland.
Yeah, those walls, I'm surprised that we don't see more self-assisted goals in that fashion, where you knock it off the wall, then you jump off and hit it back in, as the walls on Wasteland and the extra size of the goal makes it easier for that to be done.
I don't believe there is any extra size to the net. They were talking about this on Reddit today, and someone put up 2 screen captures of a kickoff facing in the opposite direction in that central roll, and the nets look the same size. I'm not sure where that myth came from, but I think we really should just sit down and get this settled once and for all.
I'm
Not to,
almost certain that the goals are bigger, at least higher. If not wider, I do believe that they're higher. It might have to do with the slight slant leading into it. No, it's perfectly flat at that point. That's where the flatness falls off, or the slant falls off. But I want to get back into iBuyPower and Kings of Urban on Wasteland. I think that it's a definite pick for iBuyPower. If I'm not mistaken, they're still 4-1 on the map, which is
they're currently 3-0 because they had that bye week. But Kings of Urban has only played once, and they have not won on that surface, as we are just about to see here.
I think iBuyPower is definitely gonna pick that. Oh, you know what? I was thinking the stat for them winning on not scoring first. So Kronovian Sad like it, as far as I know. I think that they're definitely gonna pick it. We'll see how A Money gets to do on it against Kings of Urban. And this is the second time that we see a 4-1 series with the only game that a team won being on Wasteland, which Untethered did pick to play on. So Spectral did this also. Who was that against? Flipside? No, that was against Supersonic Avengers.
Hey, Lafutsky.
This is week 4. Rip me. Does it really?
It sure does.
Oh my god, I'm horrible. Wait.
Fix it, Dirk. Fix it, Dirk.
What title? There's no title.
The title of the stream. Replay analyzation from RLCPL Week X with CJ Link and myself.
Oh, Jesus. We did Apollo 11. If you would like, I can go back and run through it again. We're basically... Oh, no. Apollo 11's next. I'm bad.
Timing is perfect.
Yes, it's actually exactly perfect. So we're going to watch the last 15 seconds and 25. Since I did not slow this down at all this whole game, we just kind of talked. Okay, so Jacob gets a good touch to get this over. Fireburner. Yeah. It's debatable on Moses' part. Skip to Apollo. It's almost over. Wait 10 seconds. Or at 25% speed.
Yeah, Moses takes that back. And while that's nice to collect, Pluto puts up a pretty good challenge here to put them on their back heel. Waffle misses it entirely.
Oh, and Jacob has a very good chance here to win the game and whiffs on the ball. Now Lichinio is going to pop this up. This is a favorite for people that love aerials. Pluto goes up for it. Lichinio follows him. Normally, I would say horrible things about it. Look at the freestyle from Lichinio. Oh, Moses gets
so close. Oh, so close. Lichinio with the follow through.
This was probably my favorite goal of the day. Pluto up. Latch just going wild on the freestyle here. Perfect breaking. That was in. Moses was actually in a good position too, but Latch gets the dunk. Oh, beautiful. All right. And with that, Lafutsky, that's Prime Thunder, right?
We'll find out in 20 seconds.
I have you guys at 5-0. So we're going to jump into Apollo 11 versus Mach Esports. Which is 6.
We entirely didn't talk about Pluto, who ended up having 3 assists on the game for this particular one. No, he is not Prime Thunder Kappa.
Yes, he is. Me and D-Pants were talking to him last night. Decent kickoff there, won by Mocket. So this is going to be a rout by Apollo 11.
Was there any kind of game that Mocket played last week, Kappa?
They won one.
They did win one.
Yeah, they won the last game of the series, I believe. This is game 2. And one of the interesting things here, if you missed the beginning of the stream, we did a quick, what we call a G.A.S, a goal, an assist, and a save. Every single player on Apollo 11 this game had all 3. 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 save at minimum. Of course, we're going to have 2 at some point. Beautiful touch there. Just beats. Okay. I'm going to rewind this. Mostly just because you're here watching. Mocket is so out of position here. They have no one far post. No one was even going to go to far post. Every single one of them going to the ball. They were... That's a practice problem. They need to practice playing together and getting their rotations down.
Pull out that protractor on that shot. That was pretty fine.
Yeah, that was an excellent pop over all of them. Husky just there to put it in. So that's interesting. Apollo 11, very similar to Untethered and Kings of Urban, does leave someone in net on kickoffs. It's not something I noticed before, but it's not too common, especially in EU. Almost no one does it in EU, but there's now 3 teams that I've noticed for sure that do it in NA. Is very often leave someone in net on kickoff, which I'm sure stops some of the kickoff goals. Great clear there by Prime. Ozzy gets a good touch there, just beating Kyle Mask. Kyle Mask could have gotten to that first too. Oof.
It's a good save, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Ozzy is there to finish that up.
Yeah, low 5 should not have jumped off to go for that. He's got to put a little bit of faith there in his teammate and be prepared to clear that out afterwards.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Thunder says they occasionally do it. I think it's a best practice to do it 100% of the times, because the number of times that you create an opportunity from that versus the number of times that you concede an opportunity, it just doesn't make sense for me to have someone abandoning the post. That's a personal opinion, but I see it time and time again, and it always looks incredibly embarrassing when a kickoff goal just plops into an empty net.
Yeah, and it is definitely very often on the fault of the kick offerer, the person taking the kickoff, where they should have at least gotten a touch on it. Beautiful demolition.
CJ with the demolitions. So let's talk a little bit, since I've got some time. Who's leading the league right now as far as teams in shooting percentage? Any idea, CJ?
Yeah, just because I took a look earlier, it is actually Apollo 11, which it was not the week before.
That's correct. It was Kings of Urban who had a very shot-friendly but very goal-unfriendly series. Apollo 11's now shooting roughly 400. 39.8% of the shots that they take are going in. And that's certainly interesting for me, because in terms of our correlation data, it really heavily suggests that the team that has a better shooting percentage wins the game more often than any of the other stats that we track. So that trends in the right direction for Apollo 11.
You're only leading in assists per game because you've only played 5 games. Just throwing that out there, Prime.
Back it up with another week and we'll see how that goes.
I think they could. I mean, Orange Creamsicle is not looking particularly challenging for any team at this point. They had one good week when they played Kings of Urban, and since then they've been off.
So more stuff regarding Apollo 11. Let's see here. There are some areas I could talk about that aren't quite as as nice. For instance, Apollo 11 is third last in the number of shots per game that they concede at 6.2 shots per game. Or, sorry, shots that they take. My apologies. They're only taking 6.2 shots per game, and while they are converting on a lot of them, it doesn't look like they are taking as many as they possibly could in that scenario.
Yeah, and this was who was it? I think it was Kronovi. I heard say it was a fault of many of the lower teams in the NA right now. Is just that they're not getting shots on target. Even if what he's primarily referring to is the long shots, the ones that could be open goals, where you've got people out of position. They're just not getting them on the goal frame, forcing a save. And I think it's a very valid point that aerials and having great dribbling is very important, but just general shooting practice is something that I think that all the teams could definitely use.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've seen a number of different ways that the existing drills that are in Rocket League have been co-opted for other purposes. You see, for instance, in A Money's article, he teaches you how to do long clearances using the aerial expert tutorial. And many of the things that you could practice, maybe you don't quite use the shooting expert level to do shots on net. Maybe you use that to set up shots for your teammates, even though you can't have two people in those drills. In the long run, for professional play, one of the things that I'm really heavily advocating for is the ability to set the ball gun in different places and have multiple people in the same arena while you're doing these kind of drills.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well. It can definitely be set up more or less in free play at this point, but I don't think any of the teams are doing it. Sorry, not free play, but private matches. I think there could be a lot of, if you're playing soccer, you spend a part of your practice just shooting the ball. You get a pass sent to you, or you're taking a set shot, and you're just shooting on net. I think it could be very important for teams to start getting into, get an extra practice person, someone that's helping you out. If you have 4 team members, it's perfect. And do some rotations. Throw someone in goal, and then have someone sending out a clear. So, send the ball over to them. Let them clear it out, and then just take a shot. Setting up some team-based practice exercises, I think that could go a very long way at this point. No one's doing it. Everyone's relying on skills that they're learning in-game, and a little bit of aerial practice from the given drills that we have. But I think that we could really use some set-up drills in private matches for teams to practice on. You're not having to rely on how serious your opponents are taking the games, and I think that you could gain a lot from doing these things. Being able to,
in my mind, there's certainly that, but the one thing that I noticed paying attention to a number of different squads as they scrim in miscellaneous matches is just the communication that they have with each other. And one of the things that I think NA has as a strength, when they tend to have their sweeper position, or a player that tends to stay back and ensure that the ball stays in the enemy zone, is that they have a much better perspective on the tactical side of the game. Because they're further back, they can see where the ball is, they can see where everyone is relative to each other, and they can be a resource even when you're on player cam, or if you're on ball cam and you can't look forward, in order to help people understand the tactical situation of the game that they're currently in. And I think that a lot of teams could do better by understanding how to communicate exactly where the play happens to be. Like, for instance, here we see 2 players going for the same ball and overcommitting to that, while the third player may be back, at this point, it's very likely that we're going to see blue come up with this ball in a way that allows them to transition onto an attack. And that wouldn't be possible if someone was saying, hold off.
See you, Prem. I think that I don't know how it works for the teams. I haven't been able to listen to any actual in-game comms too often. But I think that a shot caller type role, a captain of sorts, really needs to start taking precedence. I know that something like that's probably never going to happen on Flipside. But at least with the teams that are really working to... That was a great redirect. At least with the teams that are really working to get up in the rankings, I think that someone needs to be making decisions. Someone needs to have the final say in stuff. They need to be able to say, in this situation, Ozzy go back, Husky go for ball.
And I've seen that from IBP Cosmic, where Kronovi will actively call out, or any of the players will actively call out a player saying, that's your ball.
Yep.
And just simple things like that allow for you to react faster, because you may not actually have a perspective on exactly what you need to go for. But when someone's calling your name and you trust your teammates, you simply go for that ball, you create that pressure where you wouldn't have before, and the team is better off for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. The esport, the game as an esport, is definitely still very young, and there's a lot of things that teams can do at this point to take advantage of none of the other teams doing it yet. There's just general sports practices and other esports practices that could be incorporated into Rocket League and have a fairly sizable impact, assuming you can keep up your mechanical skills.
Beautiful. And you look at a team like... Yes, very good by Husky. You look at a team like Crown and Jewels, for instance, and I look at them and I go, you have a considerable amount of talent, but as a sum of their parts, they are far better than they would be as individuals, and they really leverage that team dynamic. And you see the same at a Cosmic. Cosmic is as good as they are because they have people that fill roles on the team, and they fill them very well. And good team composition is going to allow for those role players to do the roles that they do best, and also allow for a great deal of understanding between the players, which, based on the 5 Thoughts article that I posted up last week, when you look at the impact of a sub in a game, you realize just how much difficulty can be incorporating somebody else new in the game, and that's because you've played dozens or probably hundreds of hours with one particular teammate. You know how they're going to respond in a given situation, and everyone understands the game plan. When you bring someone new in, you have to instruct them, and they have to experience it. You have to have some kind of tactile learning, and that means hours played. So when you look at situations where maybe a player doesn't appear when they were expected to appear in a game, and then there's scrambling for a sub that goes on, and I know that has happened in the past. When that kind of scenario does go on, all of a sudden you've got someone in the game, and they're learning fresh from that point on. And I think that IBP should be commended for bringing in A-Money and saying, hey, you're going to be playing, let's get you playing with Gibbs so you can understand how Gibbs plays. Let's get you playing with Sad and myself, and Kronovi, so that you can see how Kronovi and Sad respond to different situations, so that you have a game-like experience without actually playing in a big game. And hey, maybe we actually let Gibbs and Sad play so that you get a sense of how that role should be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And that is how you allow for a player to get incorporated into a system, whereas so many other teams have not done so well.
Yeah, I think it's very smart for them. They picked up A-Money as their official sub for the Rocket League Central Pro League weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago at least. And I think that was a very smart decision.
It was almost at the beginning. Almost at the beginning, I had heard that A-Money was going to be subbing because Gibbs knew he was going to be going away.
Yeah, it's... That's probably partially on the part of Kronovi not having to do anything else with his days and being able to plan ahead like that. But I'd love to see other teams start to incorporate those kinds of things. Double here, who just got a touch, is the default sub now for Orange Creamsicle, and he's been getting a lot of playtime, but that originally was not intended. And in the first 2 games I think they played with him, he was definitely out of place. He was playing very, very well, but he wasn't part of the same strategy that the rest of Orange Creamsicle had.
Yeah, and we see that with subs all the time. Like, for instance, when Bipod stepped in for Flipside, he ended up posting such good statistics that I had to remove him from the per-game statistics in my analysis because he was number 1 in goals scored with 2 goals per game. It's 4 goals in 2 games. It was a small enough sample size, and he's probably not coming back. But individual performance was absolutely fantastic, but when looked at in the kind of gestalt of the entire team thing, they ended up not winning those games despite the excellent performance from the sub that they had filling in for them.
And he is their official sub, so he's their go-to. He's an old SARP vet that I guess they've played with a bit, and they were like, hey, if anything happens, can you fill in? So we may see him again if Cooks is asleep or Marky's hungover or something.
Yeah, and honestly, with the performance that he had in that game, I would suggest to a player of that caliber that there are probably teams out there that need use of a quality striker who could put balls in the net.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely not a bad player. I think that he doesn't want to play competitive, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I believe this is goal 1 for Zane Jackie, who ends up getting all 4 goals this game.
Mm-hmm. It's quite the follow-through from him that allows that goal to happen.
Take a quick look at this kickoff, get back into the games just a little bit. This is more so a platform for us to discuss stat trends as well as general analysis throughout the league and teams.
So Quinn's going to get a touch on this, and this is going to cause a change in flow that results in a goal. And I don't think there's anything terribly wrong with that touch by Quinn. It's more this 50-50 right here, and now everyone's out of position.
Yeah, that was Edwin out of position twice. He probably we'll look at it. So Quinn gets the first touch, and Edwin goes up, but is just beat horribly by Hot Wheels Sid. Should not have stopped there. I don't think he should have stopped
and you'll
there.
see there that there was a decision. I didn't see which of the orange players, but there was a decision for him to turn towards the ball, where if he had perhaps turned back towards his net, he could have had an over-the-shoulder kind of play on that particular shot.
Yep, that was Edwin again, where he stops and... Oh, no, you were talking about Double. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, he went back to swing around to play defensive, but the shot was just too hard.
That's a very dangerous clearance.
Yeah.
Gino Cup does well to put that back into the corner.
And Quinn doesn't do anything with it.
Quinn doesn't approach that from a very good angle. He approaches that from a really bad angle, and now he's going to get dunked.
Edwin does get a good hit on it. Quinn just reads it, or sorry, Zane Jackie reads it well, gets to it. Failure to launch is one of the teams that I've noticed is playing a very good high pressure defense style. Instead of waiting for their opponents to make mistakes, they're making a challenge at every single ball that they can make a challenge to, and they've been doing very well at it. It's a style that Flipside plays more or less, but is most prominent with iBuyPower and to an extent Kings of Urban. But Failure to Launch has picked it up, and they're playing it very well. I'm not sure who all they've been scrimming, but if they've been scrimming iBuyPower, it would make a lot of sense that's where they're picking it up from. And over the weeks, they've been very good at it, increasing in proficiency.
One of the things that I've noticed as a non-professional player when I watch these games is when the ball is in an open space and you're able to make a play on it, even though you have an opportunity to make that play, there is a player who is able to close the gap and have that gap control, as you'd say in hockey, to be able to make sure that you can't cleanly play that ball and create a positive scoring opportunity. And that's the big difference between a Goal 3 player and a professional player, is that extra fraction of a second that you don't have in order to make a play that causes you to surrender opportunities as well as be able to get dunked on and have goals scored against you. They just are in the right position faster than a different Goal 3 player.
Yeah, no, I completely see that, and it was an interesting decision by Hot Wheels, but not a bad one. Noticing that there was no one on that side of the field for OC and just taking it back across the goal. Even though he messed up a little bit there, it ended up being a very clean clear.
It takes significant awareness to even attempt something like that. And one thing that I have noticed is that very often these games come down to a matter of risk control. And being able to, that's off the post, being able to put yourself in a situation where you don't have to take as many risks is what will allow you to have a higher percentage game.
Yeah, and we do
that
see
should have gone in.
Yeah, that's going back to what I was talking about before about just practicing shot accuracy, having to take some weird angled shots and getting comfortable with taking them. You're eventually going to learn it playing enough games, but I think that it's really something that the professional level players, people that are playing in the pro league, anyone that's in the top 10 or even top 15 in the power rankings could do to just actually practice.
Yeah, and even one of the things that I've noticed while going through the drills myself as a player, and I'm hardly a good player, so take this as a grain of salt. I really do like to play on the middle difficulty role on striker, because I find that the highest level goals there's only one way that you can solve that puzzle as far as scoring the goal. But when you go into the mid-range, you have a fair range of options available to you. Even though they're easy goals, you can handicap yourself, and you can say, I'm only going to score this with the tail end of my car. Like, I'm going to spin, and I'm going to hit it with my hood, or I'm going to hit it with my caboose, and that's how I'm going to score that goal. And that's how you can get better as a player, is by putting those limitations on yourself while you're going through the drills and scoring in different ways depending on the scenarios that you're actually going to encounter in the real world.
Yeah, playing the pro as opposed to the all-star level of striker training, you can also take very different paths. You can choose to do it without boost, which isn't a bad choice at all. I think there's a couple that you can't do, but trying it without boost for those times that you're boost starved but still have an open goal, flipping around so that you're facing the wrong way, and then so to simulate a situation where you see a clear easy shot but you were on your way back to go to defense, which is sometimes the correct choice to make. There's definitely other ways that people can be practicing, and I think that shot accuracy is one of the things that could definitely be improved on by all players at this point. There's very few players that I know from watching a lot of Rocket League that will score a goal 90% of the time even. We might see high 80s, but long distance shots with power behind them still get whiffed fairly often.
And now we come to our fourth and final Genocop goal.
St. Jackie.
Jane Jackie. Sorry, wrong replay.
All good. Yeah, that was last week when Genocop scored all 4 goals. Real easy goal for him there. 0-second time.
That's a real poacher's goal too. He's hanging back. He's playing defense. He sees an opportunity. He steps up and he puts it in the net.
And I do want to take this back, and we're going to go to non-ball. So we're going to see him circle on back. He's going back for defense, but does very well to realize that the situation is turning into something where he can score. So where is he at? Swings around hard. Seeing the ball go there. A lot of the times, definitely not right at the end of games. We'll see, specifically Crown and Jewels recently has been just going back when there are times that they can call for someone else to go back, rotate for defense, and saying that they're going to take a shot. And that will end this section of our replay analysis for this week. You know, if there's anyone left in chat, looks like it's just the 3 of us, but feel free to shoot me a message on, I'll be uploading this on YouTube, you guys will see it there, or on the VOD. Get at me on Twitter, however you can. I'm all over the place. Reddit if you have to. Let me know what you think of us breaking everything down here into the 2 different sections. We'll definitely focus a lot more on the weekly gas next week, as well as probably doing a little bit more stop and look at the games on the 50% replays. Let us know how we're doing, what you would like to see, especially any of the pros. I want to be doing at least part of this for you guys. Something that you guys can go back and get a little bit of analysis on your games. We don't have any support staff for any of the pro teams at this point. There's some people that are calling themselves coaches, but I'm not seeing much out of them, and there's definitely no dedicated analyst for any of the teams. So anything that you guys think that the 3 of us could give you, as far as analysis of your games, close looks at your replays, etc., do let us know. I'm on Twitter at CJ Smurf with a PH at the end, and
I'm DM Rawlings,
spelled just like that. You can see it here at the bottom here. Dpants with the underscore at the end is the 3rd member. He was unable to join us today. Hopefully we'll see him in here next week for one of the 2 streams. In chat, that is Dpants. So until next week, thanks for watching, and let us know how we're doing. See you.
Have a good night.